Subaru BRZ Final Edition TS. Subaru recently announced the new 2022 Subaru BRZ, which unfortunately, to everyone's disappointment, it does not have a turbo on it. It's not the STI motor, unfortunately, but even still, it does have a pretty big power increase. So this here, today, the TS, is the final edition of this last generation BRZ. There's only about 500 of these made here in Canada. Now the power is the same as any other normal BRZ, power at 205 horsepower, 156 pound-feet of torque, not a substantial amount of power and torque by any stretch of the imagination. So why should you care about the final edition TS? Is this Subaru just trying to simply cash in on the final year of the BRZ and just trying to make a limited edition run just for the sake of making a limited edition run? Or is this something that you should put your hard-earned dollars into and then potentially, go ahead and sell it in a few years? Or, because this is what you're looking at here, you guys, is the drift car, the drift platform. 10, 15 years from now, these will be, and they've already started to kind of become this, but they will be the beater drift cars of our generation. Absolutely. Great build quality, good steering, really good handling, flexibility when it comes to modifying them. But then you just kind of have the downside. I look at it as a downside because I enjoy unique cars that a lot of people have BRZs or FRSs. There were a lot made, but the TS solves this problem. Or at least that's what Subaru wants you to think. So to understand the TS, we really have to understand the changes it's undergone versus the normal car. Now today we are actually driving a modified example of this, and some of the modifications, let's just get into it, okay? So what we have on the interior here, the steering wheel has been replaced with this lovely Nardi deep dish. It's not too deep, but it's a good, it improves the driving position a little bit. Factory, it does come with like a leather stitch steering wheel. That's one of the changes. We also have these leather and Alcantara seats here, which are exclusive to the TS. This red leather looks pretty phenomenal. You can only get the TS in this one white color. Other than that, you have the badge that you get, the TS badge in the front. You've got the TS badge on the back. You have a flexible STI V-bar up front, so that is not your traditional strut tower brace going from strut tower to strut tower. It actually is two flexible bars that go from strut tower to firewall, firewall to strut tower. So what you have there is vertically, the dampers are, the flexibility of the chassis where the strut towers are able to act vertically independently of each other. So what this does, and what the goal here is from STI's perspective, is to create a handling experience that is, yes, the best for the road and the most compliant and the most performance oriented, while at the same time still, not breaking your back and not breaking your spine. So that's essentially what this allows you to do here. And then as well, there is flexible front subframe bracing as well. So what Subaru says that does is basically improve turn in and reduce the time between steering input and the actual change in yaw of the car, which is just the rotation of the car. So in short, better steering response, and you can feel it. So this one's been modified. It does have 255s all around. It's a square stance setup. And the last change, oh my, this is such a huckable car. Way too loud, way too loud. So the one we're driving here is basically headers back, straight piped, no cat. Shh, don't tell the government. If this was stock though, what you would have over the factory BRZ, and I think this is probably, in conjunction with the chassis bracing, this is probably the two biggest changes with the TS over the factory BRZ, is simply put the struts and the springs. So, and this is one of the most interesting things about this car, and it really kind of gets you into the mind of Subaru and quality of parts, but the dampers here are Sachs Racing struts. They're not a Subaru part. They are a German engineered part. You know, Sachs is a company that is under ZF, which makes obviously transmissions for basically the entire automotive market, European cars and American cars alike. So here we have those Sachs German engineered dampers paired with STI springs. So what Subaru has found here, apparently, and this is a testament, Japanese engineers are so smart enough to realize that the best engineers for suspension lie in Germany. I'm kidding. All jokes aside, it's probably more of just a cost analysis and performance, of course, right? Because they're only making a limited amount of these, so Subaru can, you know, they were able to dive into the parts catalog, the worldwide parts catalog that's at their disposal a little bit in order to kind of curate the best parts for the goal that they set out for this car.
I owned this car for about a year. The stock coilover is good, it's comfortable, but it doesn't give that look and doesn't give that performance I'm really looking for. And one of my friend, Peter, he recommended this new suspension setup, which is an RSR Sport Eye coilover. So I trusted him, and he said that RSR coilover have a very in-depth R&D on their coilover. So far, the car drives fairly well on the street, and I haven't been on the track, but eventually I would want to go on the track. I did the flash tune myself. I bought an OFT from Envision Auto, and I flash a tune myself, go online, look at how to do the tune. It's pretty similar, just OST, like off-the-shelf tune, and just added some spice on it, which is the backfire that you can heard of. Did the header, an equal-length header, pretty much like a custom hack job of exhaust all the way back with Grady Evo 3 muffler. The most significant change is the handling from the wheel and tire and suspension. The power doesn't really feel much gain in terms of NA. Yeah, I used to own a lot of JDM cars, some European car. I own an RX-7, an E86, Supra, Chaser X100. From all those cars that is very powerful to this car, the power definitely dropped a lot, but the handling power, the handling of this car is incomparable with any other cars I had. So I love what I had right now. The setup is reliable, it's good handling, and fun to drive.
This is why I'm confused, Wayne. You buy a TS, it's all great and all, and you spend the extra money. Also, this has been fitted with the optional Brembo brakes, which pedal feel in these cars has never been a problem. The BRZ, everybody knows, is an all-around great car, but especially with the Brembos, even if you don't have a turbo, even if you have not gone forced induction, it's a worthwhile upgrade, if not just for the heat alone. So you spend the extra money for the TS, but then Wayne has gone ahead here and put RSR coilovers on it. So the STI, I hope, Wayne, I really do hope, for the sake of, if only the resale value, that you've held onto those Sachs dampers and STI springs, so that this is basically a completely reversible build, as it were. Oh, it also has a flash tune, so no torque dip. Not that that would really be an issue. You know, they kind of improved that on the later BRZs in general anyways. But yes, flash tune here in conjunction with the headers and the exhaust. So there is a little bit of a bump in power here. You know, you put a flash tune on a car, most people don't go ahead and hit the dyno, because the whole point of a flash tune is to save yourself from hours and hours of dyno tuning, right? For context, this is the same road that I recently drove Aaron's Eclipse GSX on, and my God, can this thing handle this road at a much quicker pace than an Eclipse GSX. I mean, automotive technology and the precision of inputs has just come such a long way from the 90s. It is ridiculous. I mean, and I know a lot of people have bought FRS's, BRZs, and 86 as first cars. This is your first introduction into the automotive sports car world. You're set. I mean, there's not many cars that have, especially pre, mid, and early 2000s, that have this precise steering feel and turn in. Find myself definitely wanting to rev it closer to redline than I would a stock BRZ, which is a very good thing. It's still, I mean, this is still a car that you can feel fairly comfortable being full throttle like most of the time. Lots of grip, to be honest with you. The turn-in's awesome. It's incredibly predictable. And getting the rear to kind of kick out is something that definitely doesn't happen under power if you're keeping the car in a fairly balanced state in the corners. So loud. BRZ TS, worth your money? Yes, if you have to have it. If you have experienced a BRZ, let's say you've owned one before and it's modified or it's not modified and you want to upgrade, I would say probably just wait till the new one comes about. That would be my advice. But if you don't have a BRZ and you like the way they look, maybe you've test driven one and you enjoy the way they drive, I would pick up a TS. I think it's a great daily, especially with the chassis bracing that allows the cars to be more comfortable on the road. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been a Subaru BRZ TS, one of the last Subaru BRZs, and one of the final farewells to a solid page in the history book of the Subaru-Toyota partnership. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit me up on Instagram at Roads Untraveled if you want to see more videos we're shooting and a bunch more cool stuff to come. Oh, and yeah, go follow Wayne on Instagram and Shinny as well. He's our good friend. This is his Subaru legacy behind us, or beside us, and he has been kind enough to come out as well. So thanks guys for watching. See you next time.